The sound of rain against the old wooden window was all she could hear that night. 13-year-old Amina sat at the edge of her bed, holding her sketchbook close, staring at the door where her father had just disappeared into the storm. He was late again, not because he wanted to be, but because he had no choice. Her father worked 3 jobs: a cleaning offices at dawn, carrying bricks at a construction site by day, and washing dishes at a small restaurant at night. Life had been cruel since her mother passed away 2 years ago, and the world seemed to demand more from her father than any man should bear. Amina often wondered how he kept going. He came home exhausted, his clothes worn out, his hands rough with cuts and bruises. Yet, every night, no matter how tired he was, he would sit beside her bed, listen to her stories, look at her sketches, and whisper, "One day, Amina, your hands will not only draw your dreams, they will create them." His words carried a kind of dignity that no poverty could take away. But challenges weighed heavily on both of them. The landlord had given them a warning about unpaid rent. Amina's school fees were overdue. And worst of all, some children at school had begun mocking her for her old shoes and hand-me-down clothes. She had come home crying one afternoon, throwing her sketchbook aside, saying she wanted to quit drawing, quit school, quit dreaming altogether. Her father had sat quietly at first, letting her anger spill. Then he picked up the sketchbook, flipped through the pages, and said in a calm voice, "These lines, these shapes, this vision, this is yours. Don't let their laughter decide your future. Dignity is not in what we wear, Amina. Dignity is in what we carry inside." It was easier said than done. The next month became even harder. Her father's health began to show cracks. The long hours, the endless labor, the constant worry. He was coughing often, sometimes struggling to stand too long. Yet he never admitted weakness. He smiled when she showed him her new sketches, even if his eyes looked heavy with fatigue. Amina started secretly saving coins to spare change from grocery trips, tips she picked up while helping an elderly neighbor carry bags. She kept it all in a small tin box under her pillow. One winter evening, Amina's school announced an art contest. The winner would get a scholarship and free supplies for a year. Her heart leapt, but then fell again. The fee to register was small, but still too much for her. She almost decided to forget about it, until her father noticed her silence. "What is it?" he asked, gently. She hesitated, then told him about the contest. He didn't say a word. He just reached into his pocket, pulled out the money he had been saving for bus fare that week, and placed it in her hand. "Go, show them who you are." Amina poured her soul into that painting. She stayed up nights, sketching, painting, redoing, until her fingers were stained with color. She painted her father, not his tired clothes, not his scars, but the way she saw him, standing tall, with hands that built a world for her, eyes that carried storms but still shone with love. She titled it, "Dignity." The day of the contest, she walked into the hall nervously, clutching her father's hand. Around her were children with expensive tools, polished frames, and confidence that seemed unshakable. She felt small, almost ready to run away, but then she remembered his words, "Dignity is in what we carry inside." She lifted her head, took a deep breath, and submitted her work. When the judges announced the winner, there was silence before they called her name. For a moment, she couldn't believe it. The scholarship was hers. She turned to her father, tears in her eyes, and he smiled the tired smile of a man whose sacrifices had not been in vain. He didn't care about the certificate or the applause. What mattered was seeing his daughter shine in a place where he had only ever felt invisible. Years later, Amina would look back on that moment as the turning point of her life. She grew to become an artist known not only for her talent but for the soul behind her work. Yet in every painting, in every speech she gave, she always carried the lesson her father had given her: not to chase what others thought was valuable, but to hold on to dignity, love, and wisdom in the face of hardship. And her father, he never saw himself as a hero. He was just a man who worked too hard, gave too much, and loved without limit. But through his daughter's eyes and the eyes of those touched by her art, he became proof of something greater, that dignity does not come from wealth or status. It comes from the courage to keep standing, even when life tries to break you. Message: if you enjoy inspiring father-daughter stories that touch the heart, let this one remind you of love, dignity, and wisdom can change lives in ways no one expects.